President William Ruto says Kenya is ready to partner with U.S. tech companies to power economic growth and relationships that lead to the facilitation of over $2 billion in new and expanded commitments between the U.S. and Kenyan governments, businesses and investors. Speaking at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Business Center, President Ruto told American investors that he is aiming at deepening the bilateral economic relationships in order to spur economic growth and investments in Kenya and across Africa.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce hosted the U.S.-Kenya Business Forum, featuring President William Ruto, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, and U.S. Ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, in Washington, D.C.
That broad-based economic growth.
The forum, the first for an African head of state in 16 years, featured speeches and discussions on deepening the bilateral economic relationship and the facilitation of over $2 billion in new and expanded commitments between the U.S. and Kenyan governments, businesses and investors, with President William Ruto reiterating that Kenya is ready to partner with U.S. tech companies to spur economic growth in the East African region.
We have signed in to $1 billion investment using American technology from Microsoft, capital resources from G42, and renewable energy from Kenya, because Kenya has the extra asset of having tech-savvy human capital. G42 will tell you, and Microsoft, and I'm sure they are in this meeting, Microsoft will tell you some of their best human capital come from Kenya.
It is predicted that by 2050, 1 in 4 people occupying space on Mother Earth will be on the continent of Africa. So when I think of it just from that perspective, many could rightly argue that the future is on the continent of Africa.
President Ruto challenging American investors to deepen the bilateral economic relationship in order to spur economic growth and investment in Kenya and across Africa through advanced technology.
We look at technology as an enabler and as a mechanism through which we can use the biggest resource we have in our young people, and we can also use it to better deliver agriculture, health, education, tax collection, government services. In fact, for Kenya, when I came into office, we had 300 government services. We've now moved 17,000 government services on the digital platform because that is where the future is.
For continued investment writ large in innovation, thinking about what we must do as a global community around addressing crises like the climate crisis, what we can do through those investments that makes clear and real what we know to be the growth, that broad-based economic growth that occurs wherever and everywhere when you invest in women. And then doing that work through a partnership that also appreciates it is good for American business to be invested in relationships that contribute to global stability.
The Business Forum also featured significant deal signings on 2 stages between Kenya and the U.S. and private sectors, including nearly $2 billion worth of deals inked by Google, Marathon Digital Holdings, Econ Holding Limited, the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, M-Copper, Semiconductors Technologies Limited, and Microsoft. President Ruto was awarded the U.S. Africa Business Center Outstanding Leaders Award in recognition of his work advancing business-led solutions across Kenya and his steadfast commitment to trade and investment. Seth Olale, Citizen TV.